Hi guys, welcome to Wet Living. My name is Mercy Letelea. If you hear this background song, you know it's my faith journey. So thank you so much for joining in. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much. I do this podcast with my husband. We talk about marriage, we talk about relationships, and we talk about other things. Check out our other podcast. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much, guys, for your support. My faith journey is all about me sharing about how I have encountered the Lord in my life in all angles. Sometimes we're looking for something so big and so huge, like I got a house or somebody gave me $1 million, but you never know that little thing that might look like it's little, it might have done a really big impact. So my faith journey, though, even though I'm talking about my faith journey, we'll be hosting guests very soon who are going to be sharing with us their faith journey, how they've encountered the Lord, with the hope of enhancing our faith in God. With things that are happening these days, a lot of false prophets and a lot of things that are happening, it seems as if the true gospel of God is like diminishing, it's like going away. So I just want to say God is real and God is still doing wonders. So thank you so much for joining in. Okay, today's topic, guys. So I spoke about how I got my job on another podcast, and then what followed was that now I needed to have a work permit. So initially I was just working with I think my student permit was gonna expire, I think in the next few months of the time that I was being offered a job. So the next stage was for me to do a work permit while I was in South Africa with the job that I got miraculously. Sometimes when you're sharing these stories, people will tend to think, it's not like you're gonna get a job through speaking in tongues and all that. Yes, that's true. There is an effort that you need to make, but there are situations where we see God. The ultimate goal of this is to say, God can work beyond law, and God can work beyond interviews. He can work beyond everything that has been set before us as procedures and protocol. He is beyond. He is not governed by whatever that goes on earth. But it's important to prepare. It's important that you prepare when you get called for interviews and all that. So guys, after I got a job in South Africa, like I should, I then started looking for someone who can assist me. I think back then people would tell you, there's a lot of corruption. You won't be able to get through when you're applying for work permit. It's quite difficult and it's all that. And then I decided I'm going to call an agent, which I did. I forgot the guy's name. It's been a long time. I'm talking about this because when I was about to record my faith journey today, I was actually asking the Lord, and I was wondering what exactly am I going to be talking about. And I was actually listening to what the Lord might want me to share about today. But then I was in prayer in the morning. I didn't quite hear anything, or I didn't quite really focus on it. But then when I sat down, and then I was like, God, what am I going to talk about? And this story was brought into my remembrance, and I was like, yeah, indeed, I saw the Lord. So I forgot the guy's name, but I engaged the guy to assist me with doing a work permit. So the guy charged me around 3,000 rands, and I gave him the 3,000 rands, and then he did all the paperwork and everything. I think it took about a week or 2 weeks, and the work permit was out. So I believed the guy was genuine. He looked genuine. He looked genuine, guys, like really, for real. And I even believed him further because I had crossed with the same passport with that particular work permit that he had made several times, coming to Botswana to check out on my parents on weekends and all that. So I think I traveled with the passport about 3 or 4 times. And then on the 4th or 5th time, it was in January, I think it was in 2012, yeah. So we are coming back, we're going to South Africa, we're coming back from the village, it was all holidays and all that, and then we're preparing to go back to work. I was with my husband, who then was my fiance. So the night before going to the bus to travel to South Africa, I have a dream, and in that dream I remember a little bit, because this story that I'm sharing, guys, it was just brought into my spirit. So I had a dream where I was trying to cross a river. You know, God speaks in many ways, and He speaks in different ways, and dreams are different. They are the direct dreams, of course they are there, and then there are symbolic dreams. So I had a symbolic dream that night. I was trying to cross the river. It was a very huge river. So when I'm trying to cross that river, I think I remember someone was trying to hold me from crossing that river. But then in that dream, I realized that I crossed the river, and I saw myself planting seeds of rice the other side of the river. So when I woke up in the morning, I was actually thinking, in the same dream, I was holding my phone, and all of a sudden my phone cracked. It was like, I don't know what happened, but it looked like, I don't know if somebody had stolen it in that dream, and then I got it, but the time I got it, it was all cracked. It was a mess. So when I woke up, because it's a symbolic dream, it could mean anything, and whoever that's listening could actually try and interpret it differently. But I understood what it meant the following day. So we got to the border, and as usual, you know, you pass through the Botswana border, and then you go to the South African border, no problem. So the man that was assisting me, I think his name was Mutlabani or something. He does whatever he does, and then he looks at me, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then he does it again, whatever that he does with the passport, and you know, you scan it through the equipment that they use at the border. And then he looks at me, and then I'm like, okay, there must be something wrong. And at that time, people are waiting for us in the bus, because we're using the bus, not the student bus, but the public bus. So I'm there, and this man looks at me again, and then he's like, can you come this side? I need to see you in the office. I'm like, okay, what's happening? So I follow this man, and then we get into the office, and then he says to me, I need you to wait there. I'm like, what's going on? And then this guy is all furious, and then he's like, yeah, and let's go to it. You know, innocent nyana, kanti litidilo. Well, like this, you look innocent, but you are a criminal. So this man leaves me in the room, and then I'm like, God. I started praying, because the dream that I had last night at that time was troubling me, because I knew that something is wrong. Because how I translated it, I was like, something is trying to stop me from crossing to South Africa. There is a fight. There is something that's going to happen, disturbing my travel to South Africa to cross, because I translated the river as me crossing the border. So I'm there, and then I started praying. I'm praying in my heart, because I'm asking God what's happening. So he comes back again. He's trying to call different polices that are around their border post. Their border post. So he calls the other office, they don't pick up. And then he calls the other office, they don't pick up. He goes outside, he comes back, and then he says to me, I was actually looking for a car that takes, there's a certain car that takes criminals or whoever, or maybe people who are illegal immigrants, when they catch them at the border, and then they're taken to a certain cell. I'm like, no, what have I done? And he sits me down, and then he's like, no, your passport, your work permit is fake. My work permit is fake. I've been traveling with this work permit for the past year, and I've traveled about 4 times. I've never had any issues with it. Then the man asks me, what are you doing in South Africa? And I tell him, I'm working, but I used to be a student in Monash. And then he's like, where did you get your permit? I'm like, no, I used an agent to assist me with the work permit. And then he's like, you know what, girl, I'm not going to sit here and listen to your story, because most of the criminals are so innocent and they look innocent like you. You know a lot about this. I don't understand why there is nobody picking from other offices, and I don't understand where is the car, the van that usually takes criminals from this border. I don't know where it is, and I'm trying to call this guy and I can't get hold of him. So I'm waiting. So this man is really trying hard to get a car around to take me, because he doesn't have time for this. According to him, later on, he says he has met a lot of people that denied some illegal acts, and yet they were guilty. So he just knew from his previous experience that there must be something wrong with me. And usually the people that they usually catch as criminals are as innocent as I looked. So my fiance is actually waiting the other side. So eventually he comes by, and then he says, the bus driver is asking what's happening. I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. Let them go. So my fiance comes back. He also misses work. He comes back, and then he waits for me as I'm being interrogated in the other room. The bus leaves us, and then that man left the room again. And as I remained, I started praying. I was speaking in tongues, and then I started praying, and then I was wondering, God, what's happening? What's going on? How come I didn't pick this? How come are they picking it now? I've been crossing with this passport for the longest time, but they never said anything. How come they're picking it now? And as I was praying, I was just praying for mercy, so that this man can at least hear my side of story, because initially he was not even interested in hearing my story. So eventually he comes back, and then I ask him, can you kindly listen to me? And then that's when I started telling him that I met up with an agent. The agent was assisting me, and then this what happened. So I'm not aware of what's happening. I'm not even part of this. I don't understand what's going on. And then while he is there, he's like, okay, no, I hear you, but I really need to call the Pretoria office. And then he calls the Pretoria office, and then eventually somebody picks up the phone. When that person picks up the phone, he tells the person, I need you to check up these names on the system. And the other side, the person checks the names on the system, and the person says, in my system, I have this name, but this name is in possession of a study permit, not a work permit. So immediately there's just that confusion that took place between the two of them. I understood that the permit that I had at that time now is not reflecting in the system. And I knew that the one that's reflecting in the system is the one that I've been using as a student. So how the man concluded now. So this man hangs up, and then he's like, oh, okay, I guess maybe they made an error at the offices, and then they actually gave you a study permit in the system instead of a work permit. And at that time, I understood that there isn't any work permit that's reflecting in, as that is the study permit that I was using before, which had expired. So that man never requested or asked if is it expired or not. So I was appearing in the system with a study permit, not with a work permit. That's when I understood that no, this guy might have given me a fake permit, because it doesn't appear. And so this man says to me, but then I have already lodged a complaint about this, and I hear your story. I'm going to go on leave for the next 10 days. I need you to go back to Botswana, and then you will come back after 10 days as they are fixing your work permit in South Africa. Or you will come back, I don't know, because nobody's going to allow you to pass here except I do. But I cannot allow you to pass right now. Okay. We go back home. I call the office in Johannesburg. I'm telling them this is what I've encountered at the border. Apparently my work permit is fake, and I don't understand what happened. We get back to Botswana, I never stopped praying because I was really confused of what's happening. But at that time, I understood this guy might have done something. So I sent the guy who was doing the work permit for me. I sent him an SMS, and he ignores it. I tried to call him, he switches off his phone. Then that's when I further understood that, oh my God, I've been scammed. I have been scammed. So I've just been using a permit that does not exist. I was fortunate that even when they just scan it through, I think it was just scanning it through, but I don't understand what was happening with the system. But I was using a fake work permit and I wasn't aware, which was going to get me in trouble. So I come back after 10 days and then I find the officer that was helping me, and then we get back into his office, and then I narrate the story again because it seemed like he had forgotten about it. And so he says to me, no, it's fine, I'm going to allow you to cross. And then he started saying to me, let me tell you how the whole thing was going to turn out. If indeed at first I was going to take you to the police as I had initiated. And so he says to me, do you know that you were going to be banned from South Africa for the next 10 years? And you were going to have a criminal record attached to you? I'm like, no, I don't know. He's like, yeah, I need you to go and fix this permit urgently, because if you don't, and somebody else scans this and he sees this in this manner, you're going to jail and you'll be banned from South Africa. So I got back to South Africa, guys. Why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story because there is a lot of people that are in jail right now for things that they never did. There are innocent people that are in jail today for being framed, for being scammed, and they were never believed. But I'm not saying God is not with them, but I'm simply saying God spared me. And the same God that is able to spare you in a situation that looked like that. Because law is law. And if you have really done something against the law, you get jailed for it. Whether you try to justify it or whether you try to do anything, you get jailed. If there is proof that you have done something that's illegal, you get jailed. So I'm sharing this just to say, God works beyond the system and God works beyond the law. And I have seen him do that. And today I'm standing here with no criminal record attached to me because of the help of God, because God intervened. That is why I'm sharing this story. So I went to South Africa and met up with my employer. And then surprisingly, after they fixed all the papers, I went to Soweto myself to go and apply for a work permit. And this is something that we usually get told by people that, it's impossible to get a work permit. It's impossible to do this when you get to South Africa. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of that. I never got to pay anybody anything by doing that work permit. I went directly to the offices. They sent me an SMS, and then the work permit was out. The legit work permit was out. What surprised me though was the fact that my work permit never took long as compared to other people. I think it was 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't that long. But then there were people that had applied for their work permits. They had to wait for long without their work permits being out. So this is my story of how I got scammed of the 3,000 rands. I think it was more. I think there were some other fees I forgot. And then how God spared me from being jailed, and then by assisting me to get a proper work permit. Cherry on the top. Years later, about 5 years later, I found an SMS on Facebook from the guy, the agent. So this guy sends me a message because I had sent him messages on Facebook and he never responded. And then years later, he sends me a message and then he's like, he's so sorry. He would like to apologize for what he did. He will pay me back the money. He is now born again. He's so sorry for everything that he has done. He has repented and now he's with God. Praise God. I celebrated because, we all make mistakes and we all do in our life. But at least for somebody that has found it in himself to really call back all the people that he had scammed and tell them about God and apologize. I think that was big of him. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys, to say, God is with us, whether we see it or we don't see it. And he speaks to us in different ways, and he impacts us in different ways. That little impact that you may think is little, it's so huge, it's so massive. It could change someone's life, and it could make their perception to be different of how they view God. And yeah, that's it from how I got scammed and how God saved me from being jailed. All right. So I hope and I believe that this story has really elevated your faith in God, and I believe that the coming stories that I'm going to be having with the guests that I'm going to be hosting will definitely impact or elevate your faith in God. It's important that we share with each other what the Lord has done in our lives, so that we can all be at par, and then we can live in peace and enjoy. So thank you so much.